Hi grade 7s. Today I'm going to give you a little bit of guidance in terms of the last two questions of section A, comprehension, with the practice paper. So at the end of section A, or at the end of the comprehension section, they always give you two questions which are a little bit opinion based, where you need to write a little bit of a reflection. So today we're going to be dealing with those, and I want you to please just listen carefully to my comments, and to then go back and to add and change and edit your writing. And if you're not pleased with the result that you had in terms of your writing, you can feel free to try again. Right, they ask you in number 13 to write a short paragraph describing how the attitude of the hikers affected the outcome of the event. They give you a hint. Did they complain and give up when things turned bad? Did they fight over the food or shelter? And that's for 3 marks. And then number 14, they ask, what encouraging message does this story offer someone facing a challenging situation? Well, I hope you gave those two questions a good go, but I'd like to chat to you a little bit about them. All right, so number 13, they ask you to write a short paragraph. A paragraph is a group of sentences that share a common idea. All of the sentences in a paragraph are about the same topic, which is why we usually tell you to skip a line and start a new paragraph when you start a new theme or topic. Paragraphs can vary in length, just as sentences can vary in length. So a short paragraph could be anything between 3 to 8 sentences. So usually in an essay, for example, if they ask you to write a short paragraph, they're looking for about 5 to 6 sentences. Now, if you're unsure when answering a question like the one in this paper, then you look to the mark allocation as a guide. So it's for 3 marks. That means they want you to write 3 separate sentences or 3 separate ideas, not repeat the same idea 3 times. All right. So to answer this question, you should write at least 3 full sentences, each one adding to the main idea. So if you're not sure where to start, you could always start with a topic sentence and then elaborate further or add more to the topic sentence. So first things first, what do I need to write about? They want you to write a descriptive paragraph. Whenever they use the word describing, it means they want you to explain, describe. And they want you to explain or describe the attitude of the hikers. So you might have been wondering, what do they mean by attitude? They mean the hikers' way of thinking or feeling about the situation. So you know the hikers, they went on an adventure, they experienced some challenges, and how did their attitude, their way of thinking, their feeling about their challenges affect the outcome? And the outcome was that they survived and that they were, in fact, safe in the end. I've had a few people asking me about that word affected. So what does affected mean? They want to know, how did their attitude produce the outcome or the end result of the event? Right. And I've had a few people, again, confused with the word affected. You may have seen the word affect with an A and the word effect with an E. So just make sure that you've been using affected with an A if you're speaking about how their attitude caused the outcome. So I just want to chat to you about the difference between affect and effect. If you look at the screen, you'll see in most cases affect is used as a verb and effect is a noun. To affect, as in a verb, it means to act on, to change the outcome, to produce an effect. Right. So the effect is the result, the outcome, or the consequence. Right. So how did they affect the outcome? Well, their good attitude produced a certain outcome, and the outcome itself is called the effect. If we affect something, it produces an effect. Now, they've given you a hint, and you're very lucky that they've given you such a blatant hint, because they've basically given you the answer. And they've given you a huge hint, because we know that the hikers, no, they did not complain or fight. In fact, they did the opposite. So all you need to do is write a paragraph explaining how they did the opposite. All right. And they want you to focus on attitude. Obviously, this will be written in your own words. You should be writing in full sentences in one paragraph. Okay, so you shouldn't be writing in point form one underneath the other or in short phrases. It should read like a paragraph. Here's an example of some things you could have said. Please add or elaborate on your answers. You could have said something about the fact that the hikers had a positive attitude or a good attitude. You could have referred to the hint and said they didn't complain when things became challenging or when things turned bad. You could have mentioned their state of being, so you could have said they remained calm, they were wise, they were pragmatic, they were practical. You could have, again, referred to the hint. You could have said they didn't fight over the food or try to survive separately. They made a plan. Remember, the plan was to find shelter when they couldn't find shelter. They set up a tent. They stayed inside. They rationed their food out over a certain amount of days. So they made a plan and everyone worked together to carry out the plan. So how did their attitude affect the outcome? We know the hikers survived this ordeal and their time trapped because they collaborated and persevered, because they were organized, because they remained calm, because they worked together. So you don't have to use these exact words, but you should have an idea that you should have enough to write a fairly good sized paragraph. Okay, so any 3 good points, preferably they should have a nice full sentence each, so you can give yourself a mark for each separate point in a nice, good quality full sentence. Good. Now we're going to have a look at number 14, which is the last question in the comprehension section. What encouraging message does the story offer to someone facing a challenging situation? Now that is only for 1 mark. So they don't want you to write a whole paragraph. In fact, they want you to write a very short summary, a nice, good quality sentence that shows the message. So what is the message or the moral or the lesson that we can learn from the example of the hikers? Remember, if they hadn't have reacted in a calm or thought out way, they could have panicked and ran down the mountain. They could have squabbled. They could have ran out of food. They could have fought. So a whole bunch of things could have happened if they had not have behaved in a certain way. So they want to know, could we use similar actions or attitudes to help us with our own mountain, our own beasts? In other words, with our own challenges. You're going to use your own words and you're going to write a good quality full sentence. Here's an example. You could have said something along the lines of, the message in the story is that you can be faced with an enormous challenge in your life, but that you can overcome it if you act wisely and have the right attitude. So you can see that's a fairly long sentence, but I've said everything I needed to say. You could word it in a different way. You could say, the story offers us the encouraging message that, for example, if we're calm and patient, we can overcome obstacles, that if we calmly wait out the storm, we can find our way through. Anything along those lines, as long as it comes across as a message or moral or a lesson. Good. And again, check that every time you're writing a full, complete sentence, you start with a capital and end with a punctuation mark. Good. You can give yourself a mark if you've written a good quality sentence. Congratulations, you have survived the comprehension section. Again, it was a fairly challenging comprehension, but it's very, very good to practice these types of questions. So please make sure that you've made corrections, elaborated on your answers, and made some extra notes in your book or on a piece of paper. My main concern is not that you're keeping track of ticks and crosses and marks, so please don't let that be your main focus or your main frustration. The point of these questions is for you to practice figuring out how to answer questions, what the questions are answering, and to be able to start to practice your answering technique. In the next video, I'm going to help you to correct some of the questions of section B, that's the language section. Some of it should be fairly straightforward and easy, others more challenging. You'll find these questions on page 126 of your textbook. If you haven't completed them yet, then give them a go before you watch the next video. Please don't give up when you reach a question that you are unsure of or that doesn't make complete sense to you. Just leave a space for that question and go on to the next question, or give it your best go or your best educated guess. It's really fine if you're not 100% confident, as long as you're giving everything a try. All right, good job, and we will see you next time.